What is going on, Shwazy gang? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am super stoked because in today's video, we're going to be seeing the brand new 2021 Ford Bronco for the very first time. Alright, we're in the daily today in the Yoda. Okay, so we are actually headed to, of all places, an aquarium where Ford is displaying the brand new 2021 Ford Broncos. I don't know why they picked that place. Don't ask. There's other Ford dealerships here, but I guess they all combined and chose this one particular location. But anyways, we're going to be checking out all of these new Broncos. Now, unfortunately, I cannot go for a test drive, but I get to see the outside. I'll get to sit inside and touch all the materials. I assume these are all still pre-production models, but still really cool to see. I have never seen one in person, and this will be the first time you guys are seeing one on the channel. I unfortunately missed out on a different opportunity about a month ago in Moab. I signed up for the event, I registered, but they didn't count my registration in time, and so I didn't make the event. But we are going to resolve that today. So I am super excited, but without further ado, let's head down to the aquarium and see what these cool cars are all about. Okay, so we just arrived with the big Ford letters right there. I am super stoked as if I'm picking one up today and driving it home, which I'm not. So we're just gonna head through those little gates right there and see what it looks like. Okay, so what I've decided to actually do is a voiceover or picture-in-picture type of format, just because the day of the event was a little too windy, it was a little too busy, and so it would be very difficult for me to discuss the vehicle and the features at the event itself, and so I've decided to do it a little bit differently than I planned when I filmed the initial video. And as I'm sure you can tell by the shaved beard and the haircut, it is a few days later after the event because I wanted to have enough time to process the information, look at the footage, and make sure I give you the best information that I can. So without further ado, let's get to the footage and let me walk you through all of the things that I saw on the day of the event. Okay, so we were fortunate that this event had two Broncos that we got to sit in and play around with. The first one was an Outer Banks version, which was outfitted in the shadow black color, and the interior had leather seats, which were colored Roast with Black Onyx. So it's a dark brown with a black leather interior. Looks really nice on that car. The other version that they had was a Black Diamond outfitted in Cactus Gray, which was really cool to finally see in person because I was like this close to actually ordering a Cactus Gray, but last minute I ended up deciding Area 51 because I couldn't tell from all of the colors that I was seeing online. But nice to see that one in person. That one that you're gonna see on the screen in just a few minutes here had the marine grade vinyl, which was washout, so you can wash the entire interior of the car, and there's even plugs at the bottom that you can drain everything out. So a really nice feature for those of you that go into the water when you're off-roading. But one thing I wanted to mention is neither of the models had the hardtop option. Both of them were soft tops, and neither one of them had the Sasquatch package. So the ones you're gonna be seeing on the screen aren't gonna be the big beefy tires and the big fenders. These are just kind of the base models. Now, the reason they didn't have those is because those two options are in really short supply, even considering these are pre-production models. You know, if you ordered the hardtop or the Sasquatch package, you may be looking at a late 2021, early 22 delivery date. But to kick it off, you know, the one you're seeing on the screen right now is the Outer Banks, and I love how that black color just shines on this car. It does have the brush guard and the heavy-duty modular front bumper, and as you can see, that's the soft top operation, which is nice because it opens up the entire roof. The interior looks really nice with that leather seating, and the frameless doors are really cool to see. Now, the soft top has that opening in the back, which is kind of awkward, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra space when you're loading stuff in. This one also has the storage harness for the doors, and I got to play around with that rear tailgate a little bit, and it actually opens beyond 100 degrees, but what's nice is it offers some resistance and doesn't just fly open and hit anything in the way. Going back to the soft top, I was surprised that it actually is a soft touch type of sturdy felt material more than a canvas, which is what I expected it to actually be. Moving over to the front, this one has the upgraded LED signature lights. Now, all models come with the LEDs, but you can option for these kind of high-tech looking ones that are a little bit more premium. Jumping inside of the cool frameless doors, the interior is actually a really nice place to be. The huge 12-inch touchscreen on this one is an option. Most of them come with the 8-inch, which you'll see in the other model I'm going to show you today. The auxiliary switches are really nice to kind of flick, and the sound they make is really, really sweet. So I'm excited to be like fighter pilot when I do that. The door closes with a nice thud. It's not tinny, not metal sounding. It sounds pretty solid, similar to any other crossover, to be honest. And the materials are actually really soft touch. So that brown that you're seeing on the screen, that is a rubberized material. And then the rest of the black is actually a hard touch plastic. And they carried over the same materials to the back of the car, which is nice. Sometimes auto manufacturers ignore that. There's no rear air vents on any of the models, which I think is a huge oversight. But I don't know if any of the other competitors offer that either. Plenty of legroom, lots of headroom. And like I said, again, the soft touch materials in the back. That's specific to the Outer Banks model. We're going to look at the other one in just a minute, and that one has a little bit of a lower quality of material, but the price point is also lower. Now, moving over to the driver's side of the car, I was actually really surprised at how comfortable these seats are. You feel like you're sitting in a crossover more than like some rugged Tacoma or Wrangler. They're just really, really soft. And this goes for both this model and the other one I tried out. So regardless of what material, whether it's leather or cloth, it's still really nice to sit in those seats. What I like is it has rubberized material throughout the entire inside of the cabin, including the switches on the dashboard. The GOAT modes, the lever that switches that is rubberized. The switches for the climate control are rubberized, and everything just has a solid feel to it that you know it's going to last over time. Now we're taking a look at the Cactus Gray version, which I don't know if the camera does it justice, to be honest. It looks a little bit different in person. Here it almost looks like a white or a gray, but it does have a hint of green to it, and it's a really unique color to see in person. I actually enjoyed it. The next few clips you're gonna see are actually gonna show you what the color looks like up close in person, but again, the camera just doesn't do it justice. I am glad I went for the Area 51 color. I like blue, and I'm glad I went that route, but this is a really good option for a lot of people that have purchased the Cactus Gray. Jumping inside, the materials, like I said, are a little bit lower quality. This one is meant to be washed out, so I'm not sure how this compares to the Big Bend, even though price-wise, this one is a little bit more expensive than the Big Bend option. I'm not sure if they made it a little bit more off-road capable, and that's why the materials are more hard plastic than rubberized. Even on the door panels, you have hard touch plastic versus the other one had a little bit of rubberized material. This one has the 8-inch screen, which is what I'm going to have on my Big Bend version. That is the base screen that you get on all cars unless you upgrade to the 12-inch. Again, moving into the back seats, plenty of leg room, but a little bit more plastic used here, which I can't blame them. The competition does the same thing, so I can't expect them to go above and beyond when everybody else does the same thing. I think they've already made themselves a little bit different with how they designed and the features they put into this car. Even on this version, the interior is still really nice. Like I said, rubberized materials on the GOAT modes. As you can see, this is the manual transmission, and the window switches are just above the manual transmission on the center console because the doors do come off on all of the models. And again, this has some of the hard touch plastic that I mentioned earlier. Not the most ideal, but it's forgiving given the car is meant to be off-road. Now, one thing I wanted to point out that I thought was kind of odd is the driver and passenger side doors don't seem to open as far as you would think they would. I think that has to do with the fact that the side view mirrors are mounted on the hood of the car. And if you opened it any further, it would hit those side view mirrors, but it almost seems like they're stopping just a little bit too short. There's still plenty of room to get in and out, and the ride height is perfect, but it is a little bit odd that the doors don't seem to open as far as you would expect on a vehicle like this. Now, moving into the driver's seat, again, just as comfortable as the Outer Banks version, even though this one has a totally different material. It's just really comfortable seating position. I could easily see myself driving long road trips in here. The steering wheel is leather wrapped. I believe everything Big Bend and above has a leather wrapped steering wheel, and the buttons on the steering wheel are also rubberized and heavy duty, so they're going to wear well over time. Obviously, Obviously, you can tell this thing is pretty much waterproof through and through, including the rubber materials on the steering wheel. But overall, I'm actually really impressed with the interior quality of this car. Now, I actually also got the opportunity to drive a Bronco Sport, which they didn't let me drive a Bronco because it's a pre-production model, but the Bronco Sport is a pretty capable vehicle. The one you're seeing on the screen is an Area 51 color, which is the color that I actually got for my Bronco, so excited to see that one for the first time in person. But it's a very capable SUV. I drove it over some logs and then doing a slalom race, and very capable. I can definitely see why so many people like this car. It's a little bit more unique and different looking than a typical Ford Escape or a RAV4, and I would definitely recommend driving one. It probably handled those logs better than what my Toyota could do, and they're built on a similar platform. They're a unibody construction, and so they're gonna have a similar type of feel to them, but this one handled really well and it was very nimble around the slalom. Alrighty, so now that we have talked about the Broncos I saw at the event, as I'm sure you can tell, my overall impression is I am very happy with the pre-production models. I mean, they're only going to get better before they start producing them in early June. You know, some things, for example, like that brush guard, they're actually going to make it a little bit taller so you can see the Bronco lettering underneath. So there are still a few things that they're tweaking, and I'm excited to see the final product. But now I wanted to talk about my Bronco specifically. If you guys didn't see the video that I filmed from, I want to say back in February when I officially ordered the car, I'm actually going to throw up that video on a card somewhere on the screen right now, so you guys can check that out at the end of this video. But that video outlines exactly what features I ordered, what trim, what spec, and all of the details on the MSRP, as well as the timelines of what I was expecting and the whole process. I wanted to give you guys some updates because there have been some changes since that video from back in February. The first update is, well, I officially got the VIN number for my vehicle, which is a really huge step, and I'm very, very lucky that I was able to be one of the early ones that got that VIN number, because I know a lot of you out there that have ordered one of these are still waiting for that email. For those of you that don't know, what Ford is doing is starting in the second or third week of April, they've been sending out weekly emails to certain customers alerting them of when their Bronco is gonna start production and what their VIN number is. Now, this has to do with the reservation timestamp, this has to do with the features you ordered, and just your dealer inventory. So there's a lot of different things going into this algorithm that makes them choose which models they're going to produce first. What's kind of upsetting for some people is if you ordered a first edition model, that car isn't actually coming until 2022. So you're actually gonna have some Broncos on the road before the first edition model comes out. It's just a really awkward and weird situation, but that again has to do with the supply issues that they're facing with the hardtop roof, and the first edition came with that hardtop roof that's currently facing some supply issues. Now, going back to the email process, I did get an email the third week of April, and what that email states is it gives you an estimated production date, and it gives you your VIN number. And once you have the VIN number, you can no longer change any of the features of the car. So that's kind of locked in, and that's just what's gonna happen. What's nice about that is that means my car will not be pushed into the 2022 production year because I already have a VIN number. So I'm very, very lucky to have that. Now, for the big reveal as to when my car is going into production, well, my vehicle is estimated to start production the week of June 7th, 2021. So as of posting this video, my car is less than 1 month of being built at the manufacturer. So I'm super stoked for that to happen. Now, I'm not sure if it's gonna start June 7th or sometime later that week, but what I have heard and I've seen on Bronco Nation and other forums, the June 7th is the very first week of production of the Bronco. That's super exciting that I'm going to be one of the earliest and first batches of this car. And honestly, I did not expect that at all. I've told you guys on live streams, I've told you guys in previous videos, I was expecting at the earliest September. And after hearing about all these production cuts and supply issues, I was thinking probably closer to December or January. What's funny enough is I actually had a dream a few weeks ago before I got the email that my production date was January 5th, 2022. And I was like, well, how funny and crazy would it be if I got an email saying that it's gonna be January 5th? Thankfully, it's not. It is June 7th. I don't know how I fell into that type of category, seeing as how I was not the very first one to do a reservation, but the features that I have on my car aren't the ones that are in short supply. It's the soft top, it's not the Sasquatch package, it's the automatic transmission, it's the weaker engine. So all of those things I think culminated into the fact that my car is going to be one of the earliest built. One note I will make that I'm actually pretty excited about in terms of the engine, I got the 2.3 liter EcoBoost, which was previously stated to have around 270 horsepower, I believe. Now they're actually saying it's going to produce 300 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. So they bumped up the numbers a little bit, and I'm coming from a 170 horsepower Toyota, so it's going to be a pretty big jump. Not that I'm planning on having this car as a sports car. That's what I have the Hellcat for, but it's still nice to have a little bit more power when you need it. Now, granted, the car is going to be a lot heavier and it is turbocharged as compared to my naturally aspirated, lighter weight RAV4. So I don't expect it's going to be a rocket ship, but I do think it'll be a little bit quicker than my RAV, which has been more than enough power for me. Now, I actually pulled up the timeline and the tracking on my specific vehicle, and what Ford is telling me is that production is not really going to take as long as I expected. It's only going to take a few days. After the car is produced and built, what they're going to do then is arrange the shipping to the dealer, and this step could take a few days to a week. After that, the vehicle is shipped, and this is where it could take the longest time, which is 12 to 28 days based on my location relative to the manufacturer. And then its delivery date, you know, the dealership's gonna take it, it's gonna take it out of dealer mode and get it all set up for me to pick up the car. So using these dates in mind of what Ford has told me, it's very, very possible that I could have the Bronco on the channel sometime early to mid-July, which would be way ahead of schedule and would be very exciting because that way I get to actually experience it over the summer and in the fall, which is probably the prime off-road season, versus wintertime where it's just kind of snowy and not very fun or entertaining. One thing I wanted to mention that some people may not understand is there is the Bronco Sport and there is the Bronco. Now, the Bronco Sport was that last vehicle I showed you in the clips earlier in this video. It was outfitted at Area 51, and it's more of a crossover style vehicle. It's a unibody construction similar to most crossovers on the road. The Bronco is a body-on-frame vehicle similar to a truck or a Wrangler, and that is totally different than the Bronco Sport. I've had some people confuse the two of those, and you know, they see the Bronco Sport, they see the Bronco lettering, they assume that's the Bronco, and they kind of make a quick judgment that they don't like the car, but those are two different vehicles. The Bronco Sport has been out for 9 months now. A lot of dealerships have had them for a while. You're probably seeing a lot of those on the road, but I'm very, very doubtful that you have seen a Bronco on the road unless you live somewhere near Michigan or anywhere they're manufacturing them, and you may have seen a pre-production model in testing, but no dealership or any individual has purchased an actual Bronco. That is going to be starting in June 7th when they go into production. But those are the updates that I have for you all. Once June 7th rolls around, I already have an alert on my phone. I'm going to jump on this tracking site and see if it's true that it is in production and determine how long it actually takes to make the car, and I'll report all of that information back to you guys. As I'm sure you can tell with the smile on my face, I'm very excited for this entire process. I think the car is really cool. I have had issues with the way Ford has arranged it, but I understand we're living in a weird time where everything is facing supply shortages and it's hard to roll out a brand new car. So I understand it from their perspective, but it has been a little bit frustrating, and I'll talk about that in future videos after I take delivery of the car. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video as much as I have presenting it to you guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so and hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date on all of the weekly videos. Also, I am on Instagram and TikTok with the handle @Schwazy_. And let me know your guys' thoughts on the Bronco after seeing today's video or maybe seeing some pictures online. I'm curious to know what you all think of the vehicle. Now, until next time, stay Schwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.